Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right, so shout out to everyone who is in the room. It's good to see each and every one of you guys. If you guys can hear me okay, if everything sounds good, give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji in the chat. All right. I'm going to give some acknowledgments to my people that's in the building early. My people, are you with me? Where you at? In the front, in the back, black light on attack. Whoa. Shout out to Vovo to Love. We got my man Torian Rain in the building. Shout out to Fatfo Sanders. We got Lloyd Sky 9 up in here. We got Hurricane IQ. We got Tia 2U. What's good with it, Tia? We got my man James Hudson in the building. Shout out to James Hudson. We got Val Williams in the house. Shout out to Val. We got Shamika Gray up in here. We got my man Carlton Way in the building. We got Jared. Shout out to Jared. We got my man Unsunken One. Shout out to Unsunken One. We got DC Precise in the building. All right. Good to see everybody up in here. All right. So I got a lot of streams, got a lot of content, got to find a way that I can do it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to try to get a lot of stuff out for y'all today. All of the streams and all of the content that I do today will direct you to the 3 o'clock stream that TD and I have scheduled. So make sure that you guys watch this stuff all the way through and then just hit the bell when it takes you into the next scheduled thing. All right. So this is what getting on code looks like, using language and actions. The sad thing about it is that we're not talking about Alvin Bragg. We are talking about an individual named Jose Alba. All right. So my question for everybody is, how many people are familiar with Jose Alba? You may not know by the name, but I guarantee you when you see the situation, you will recognize it. Now, why do I say this is what getting on code looks like? Well, I didn't say getting on code with us. I didn't say getting on code with us. All right. If you ask me, one thing that people should recognize and one thing that people should understand is the quote unquote recruitment or the quote unquote feeling out talking points. When people who either are black and are off a little bit, or people who are not black say certain things, move in certain ways, if you ask me, those are a calling card for acceptance into the quote-unquote existing infrastructure. Now, when I say acceptance into the existing infrastructure, is everybody on the same page as me? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? If you guys do, let me know what I'm talking about when I say they're looking for acceptance into the quote-unquote existing infrastructure. Bodega clerk, shout out to Denise Scales. What's good with it, Denise? Bodega clerk Jose Alba sues Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, New York Police Department, for racial discrimination. Now, that's interesting, right? Because if anybody is familiar with this situation, I guarantee you that there's literally exactly Unsunken One. You got it. Facts. And shout out to my man AB Promotions. What's good with it, bro? I don't think that there's anyone who thinks that the individual who robbed the bodega was in the right. Now, if you listen to the white media, if you listen to conservative media, if you listen to far right nonsense on YouTube and Rumble and all over the place, they'll sit there and tell you that, oh, nobody wants to talk about this. And, these people think that everything is okay. I don't think that there is anyone out there that is cheering on the bodega being robbed. If anybody out here in the comment section is cheering on the bodega being robbed, give me a thumbs up. If you're not, then give me a thumbs down. That's not the point. I believe that everybody is under the same understanding that if someone engages in criminal activity, then they should be prosecuted as a criminal. I don't think that anybody has a problem with that. However, when it comes to New York City, what's one of the biggest issues with New York City? One of the big issues that people have with New York City is that the laws are too liberal, right? When it comes to liberal, you got issues like sanctuary cities, right? When it comes to liberal, you got issues like not really getting the backing of the criminal justice system when it comes to self-defense, right? Now, if you ask me, one of the reasons why this bodega clerk, Jose Alba, is being prosecuted for this is because of New York City's quote unquote liberal laws, right? Their stance on quote unquote self-defense. If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe that New York City has the castle doctrine. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I agree, Hurricane IQ. They always say that no one is talking about this, and they're always talking about that. Right. Yet and still, we rarely see any of those people in the comment sections. Right. We rarely see any of those people in the comment section. YouTube suppresses our content, so it's not like a bunch of eyes get put on our content. So nobody knows what we're talking about. We know what we're talking about. We talk about this kind of stuff all the time. But now, what I find interesting about this is that Mr. Alba is suing Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg for racial discrimination. Now, here's my question. How do you prove racial discrimination? That's my question for you guys. How do you prove racial discrimination? The way that you prove racial discrimination is that you show a pattern of differential treatment in the same or similar with small variance situation. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen. Right? So Jose Alba is saying that there's racial discrimination. So what Jose Alba would have to show is he's going to have to show a ongoing pattern of black bodega workers or owners being attacked in a criminal way, them defending themselves fatally, and them not being prosecuted in the way that he's being prosecuted. That would be how you prove a pattern of ongoing discrimination. And I got to agree with Douglas. He's playing the race card. And Torian says, is he related to Jessica? He may be. He may be. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what it says. A former bodega clerk who was infamously charged with murder after fatally stabbing an attacker in his store last year in what he claimed was self-defense is suing lefty Manhattan District Attorney Alvin and the New York Police Department for racial discrimination. So again, my question is, how do you prove racial discrimination? Now, do I believe that he should have been allowed to defend his bodega from being robbed or being a victim of a crime? Absolutely. However, you're in a state with very liberal laws that do not favor self-defense. Here's my question for everybody. How does that constitute anything about race? How has he been discriminated against? That's the question. Shout out to Crew Royalty. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to Mama Zeke. What's going on? Former clerk Jose Alba, who stabbed ex-con Austin Simon to death during a fight at the Blue Moon Bodega in Harlem in July 2022, claims he was hit with second-degree murder charges and endured days under lockup on Rikers Island because of Bragg's pursuit of quote-unquote racial equity in the Manhattan criminal justice system, according to the Manhattan federal court suit filed on Friday. Now, here's the thing, right? Alvin Bragg is a clown. He's a Democrat shill, right? However, what you have to pay attention to is quote unquote people of color, right? When people of color use this kind of language is a calling card to WS to draw a line in the sand to show exactly what side they're on. If you ask me, this Jose Alba would have a easier time defending himself, right, in court. I think he has a case as far as defending himself. And I don't know, maybe filing a lawsuit against the New York Police Department for negligence and failure to intervene. As far as racial discrimination, I don't know how he plans to establish racial discrimination. However, again, this is a calling card. This is literally all you have to do to get the population at large and everybody else and all of the other people of color on your side. Like TD always says, all you got to do is show that you're quote unquote sticking it to the blacks. And that is exactly what this is an example of. Now, anybody that listens to this, right? You got these morons on Rumble and all these other people. They'll sit there and say, oh, well, you're not talking about the real issue. You're not talking about the real issue. We already talked about the real issue right in the beginning. We said that we disagree with the crime. The crime is wrong. Nobody should be a victim of a robbery. And me, in my personal opinion, you should be allowed to defend yourself. And if the defense of yourself involves in the perpetrator dying in the process, as long as you're able to prove that in court and is justified, you were defending your business, you were defending your residence, you were defending your own life. That part, I don't have a problem with. The wording of this lawsuit is a clear-cut line in the sand to send a dog whistle of who he wants to be accepted by and who he wants attention to. This doesn't have anything to do with what happened to him. It's beyond that now. Shout out to Tone. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to OG Patrice. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. And now this is what I'm talking about. And honestly, I do believe that this is the kind of thing that Dr. Claude Anderson is talking about when Dr. Claude Anderson said black people can't fight all of these different groups. This is what it looks like with quote unquote all of these different groups fighting black people. One of the first things that all of these different groups, along with white people, and they understand the assignment, have to do is to try to create a loop of propaganda to make it appear as if any circumstances that black people have are all solely as results of our own dysfunction. Right? The second thing that they have to establish is that black people have enough power to systemically be racist and harm other groups of people. Shout out to Douglas D. Yeah, I actually talked about that story on my other channel. The Latina girl from Saudi Arabia who had got the tummy tuck, or the Latina girl from New York that had got the tummy tuck, got in trouble in Saudi Arabia for reaching out and touching one of those airplane attendants. Yeah, I talked about that. Shout out to Amir. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to I think I got everybody. So yeah, and again, yeah, shout out to Carlton Way, because that's one of the things that Torian has been saying. Torian has been saying he believes that a lot of this stuff is going to be used to push a quote unquote anti, Hispanic hate crime bill. Everybody's going to have a hate crime bill except us. At this pace, you know what I'm saying? Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell yet, please take a moment. Make sure you guys hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right. So now here it says, while in theory, Bragg's racial equity policies are a well-intentioned attempt by him to implement an even-handed justice, the means and methods employed by Bragg have instead had an opposite effect and resulted in discrimination against certain defendants based on race, states the suit. So how does that work? And what defendants are these that have been discriminated against based on race? Shout out to Shamika Gray. Shamika Gray said, "Women's can't touch other women's." Over there. Well, shout out to her, to Hurricane IQ. Anytime the mainstream media mentions criminals, it's a dog whistle for black people. That's why they always say black on black crime. That's why they always say, they talk about the Democrat cities, and that's one of the reasons why they also say crime, like crime and thugs or high crime area. You know what I'm saying? Anytime the mainstream media mentions crime, they're talking about black people. Now they'll deny it, so there's no need for us to run to them and ask them, "Is that what you're talking about?" Because they're liars and cowards and can't stand in their own racism because they're ashamed. But that's what it is. So we just have to take that understanding and deal with it. You know what I'm saying? If you ask me, people should never attempt to validate factual reality from WS data collection. And honestly, I think we might actually end up talking about that tomorrow, or we might actually dive into that today on the stream with me and TD. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to B1 first. What's good with it, bro? So now here it says, which also names NYPD Detective William Garcia along with unnamed arresting officers and police detectives, which I find interesting because Jose Alba and William Garcia seem to be quote unquote ethnic peers, but there's a racial bias. Now, I don't know if you guys saw the thumbnail of this live stream, but if you look at the thumbnail, Mr. Alba looks very quote unquote ethnic. You know what I'm saying? He looks very ethnic. Now, in this picture, he kind of, and shout out to Denise and shout out to Hurricane for answering that Nightbot. Appreciate it. He looks kind of ethnic. You know what I'm saying? So, I find that interesting. So now here it says on July 1st of 2022, Alba, a 61-year-old Dominican immigrant, right? So he's a Dominican. So he's the original Mino Black tribe. That's the MEENO Black tribe, Mino Black. You know what I'm saying? The MNBs. He's one of them MNBs, one of them Mino Black people. That the Dominicans are the OGs of Mino Black. You know what I'm saying? He stabbed Simon, a 35-year-old black man, multiple times at the Harlem bodega after hardworking clerk got into an argument with his attacker's girlfriend because she couldn't pay for a bag of chips, video revealed. The ex-con approached Alba from behind the counter and shoved him, sparking a fight that ended in Simon's death and the clerk's arrest after he called the police. Despite Alba's claims of self-defense, Bragg charged the clerk with second-degree murder and requested bail be set at $500,000, although a judge lowered it to $250,000. Alba, unable to afford the eye-watering bail fee, was shipped to Rikers, where he endured inhumane and unconstitutional conditions, according to the suit, which I find interesting because I guarantee you, even at Rikers Island, those conditions were probably better than a lot of the conditions that he may have come from in the Dominican Republic. You know what I'm saying? Bragg's decision to throw the book at Alba over his slaying led to a sea of public backlash, including from Mayor Eric Adams and the former NYPD Commissioner Bill Bratton, who ripped the typically soft on crime DA for jailing a working man who appeared to be protecting himself and his store from a robbery. Now, here's my question. What is everybody's opinion of Alvin Bragg? Shout out to Eddie Longs. What's good? Yeah, Mino Black. That's the first thing in English that they learn. Mino Black. You know what I'm saying? Alba spent 6 days in Rikers before he was freed once prosecutors lowered his bail amount to $50,000. My heart goes out to the employee who was in the store doing his job, Adams said at the time. Now, here goes my thing, right? There's this video that this lady made. I think she's I don't know, she might be like a lady from the Caribbean or something like that. She got an accent. She made a really good video. Like, I'm talking about like a roast. I don't know if Bronze of God is in here or not, but Bronze of God saw it. I sent it to him. And I think I put it in the Discord also, but this lady ripped Eric Adams with receipts. You know what I'm saying? And she shows a lot of instances where Mayor Eric Adams, liberal Democrat Mayor Eric Adams, goes and uses the alt-right talking points, because that's what Mayor Eric Adams does, and that's what liberals do. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. So again, like I said, I don't have a problem with Alba defending himself. You got to understand the anti-black history of Dominicans, the anti-black history of Latinos, and why he would go about defending himself in this particular way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, who's Carlton said he's clearly not an FBA. Who, this dude right here? Austin Simon right here? Yeah, Kamala Harris quoted the 1350 false crime stat. And the reason why these people quote this kind of stuff, again, is like I said, they need to establish two things. The first thing that they need to establish is that, quote unquote, none of our issues are caused by anything resulting from Jim Crow or slavery. And the second thing that they need to establish is that we somehow have the ability to institute institutional and systemic racism onto other groups of people. And that's why you hear people repeating a lot of these talking points. They can't substantiate anything. All they do is just repeat talking points. Then they'll sit there and say that, people don't think that this man should have been able to defend himself. Literally nobody said that. It was never mentioned one time in this live stream that man, Jose Alba, should not be able to defend himself. As a matter of fact, I said he should be able to defend himself. You know what I'm saying? Nobody should have to deal with that. But when you have white YouTubers and white social media content creators who, for no reason, have just a plethora of subscribers for absolutely no reason other than software augmentation, that's what you get. You get the message repeated. You get that what do they call it? Steady drumbeat, like Professor Black Truth says. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, I'm hoping that we all take all of that into consideration as this hardworking New Yorker was doing his job and someone aggressively went behind the counter to attack him. Now, again, right? How many black people do you all know that have multiple jobs? Yeah. Yeah. Wait, who deleted somebody over to this dude right here was trying to I guess he came behind the counter and there was an exchange. It got physical with him and this bodega worker, and the bodega worker defended himself and ended up deleting this guy. They actually have the video in this article right here, and I'll put the article link in the chat. So the video for the video link for the incident is right here. And real quick, shout out to everybody that's watching. If you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, make sure you guys hit that bell. All right, so now here it says, following the public pressure campaign on July 19th, Bragg finally dropped the charges, admitting there wasn't enough evidence to prove the worker was not justified in his use of deadly force. His office wrote in a motion. So again, what ended up happening was Bragg ultimately dropped the charges. I mean, so the charges got dropped. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, in addition to Bragg, the suit names Department of Corrections Commissioner Louis Molina and other Department of Correction staff, along with the city, as being responsible for the unconstitutional conditions of confinement and inadequate medical care at Rikers Island. Okay. Alba and his lawyers announced plans to sue Friday in February. Now, I'm curious as to who his lawyers are. I'm curious as to who his lawyers are, because what this actually sounds like to me, this sounds like something that a WS think tank would have came and discussed with him and encouraged him to utilize their services and to try to sue. I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm not 100% certain that this is something that this individual might have come up with on his own, and then knew exactly where to find an attorney who would be interested in taking a case like this, because I think it's going to be difficult for him to prove. And in most cases, unless you're invested in a political cause, most attorneys do not want blemishes on their court record, because this was a highly publicized affair. And this is something that a lot of alt-right white supremacist news outlets and other places latched on to attempt to say, see, we basically, it wasn't a message of self-defense, right? Like, if I'm talking about this, my message is of self-defense. Their message is, well, see, with all these black people running around, we can't even defend ourselves from these black people. We can't even defend ourselves from these black people. That's their message. It's not the same. I believe that people should be able to defend themselves in an honest and in an integrity way. Meaning, if you're attacked, you should be able to preserve your own life through defense. These people want to politicize it because we all know that the right and the left are race hustlers. You know what I'm saying? We know that everybody who's non-FBA is a race hustler. We know that there's industries specific to making money off of black people, right? And we also know that the right, the right and the left, the white right and the white left have politicized our entire race. Like, these are all facts that we know. These are all facts that we know that they're not willing to have a conversation about, because again, they're cowards. And when you come from a generation of cowards and you've been a coward so long that it becomes woven into your DNA, these are things that you can't overcome. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And then you got to ask questions like Lehman Lucas. Shout out to my man Lehman Lucas, and shout out to MC Fact. If you could not afford bail, how can you afford an attorney? Sometimes attorneys will do pro bono work if it's consistent with political objectives that they deem important. Right? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now here it says Alba is seeking compensatory and punitive damages, which will be determined by a jury. Cardindale said no price tag was named in the court papers. Bragg is treating people differently and he's hurting people, Cardindale told the Post. So now here's my question. How is Bragg treating people differently? Has the composition of the prisons and jails in New York City changed at all? Is it somehow majority white? Is it somehow majority Latino? That's my question. How has anything changed? People aren't getting treated fairly. Who's not getting treated fairly? The people that don't have their homeless shelters anymore because migrants are taking them up, which we will be talking about very shortly. How many people are subscribed to Crimecast? If you're subscribed to Crimecast, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to Crimecast, give me a thumbs down. Here's my question. We need to take a vote. What do you guys want? Do you guys want about a half-hour episode of Crimecast, or do you guys want Undocumented Bros first? Because there's a lot of stuff on both that I need to talk about. So let me know what you guys want. If you want Crimecast, put in Crimecast. If you want Undocumented Bros, put in Undocumented Bros. Now, you know, for now, ain't gonna be no commercials on Crimecast. So you know Val and Carla gonna say Crimecast. It's oh, we got some Undocumented Bros people. Okay. Shout out to Ronnie and shout out to Denise. Okay. All right, if one of the moderators could take a tally and let us know what the tally is at the end, then that'd be great. All right, so now here it says, meanwhile, other people are committing repeated crimes and he keeps giving them a break. Like who? Who are we talking about that keeps committing these crimes? I gotta agree with Eric. That's an excellent way to put it. Eric says there's been a worldwide terrorist organization for the past 300 years. They call themselves WS. Facts, and they're one of the largest diversity hires. Look, see, I told you Val was gonna say. I told you Val was gonna say Crimecast. I get a Crimecast in for you, Val. It looks like Undocumented Bros is gonna take it though, but I got you though on the Crimecast. I got you. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, we can't keep pitting ourselves against each other based on race, he added. That's interesting because what has to be proven is that there is some racial difference. Shout out to Hurricane. Hurricane and AB, they said Crimecast. Hurricane said Crimecast, no commercials. So now here it says representatives for the DOC and NYPD directed requests for comment to the city law department, which said in a statement, the city will review the case when served and respond accordingly. A spokesperson for Manhattan's district attorney office declined to comment. Okay. So notice how they didn't say what law firm would be taking this case. And I shout out to Val. I think it was Val that said, what was that dude's name? Blum? What's his first name? Lehman Lucas wants Crimecast. Who's winning? What's the score? Is it gonna be Crimecast or is it Undocumented Bros? Let me know. But I wouldn't be surprised though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would not be surprised if it was one of those organizations, or if it was an organization funded by the Manhattan Institute or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what we got here. Hold on real quick. So we got 1, 2 Undocumented Bros. 2 to 1, 2 to 3. 3. I think Crimecast might have came from behind. Hold on real quick. Let me see. Somebody count this with me. So we got 1, 2, 3. We got 3 Undocumented Bros. Edward Blum, that's his name. We got 3 Undocumented Bros. Do I got that right? 3 Undocumented Bros. 1, 2, 3. And then it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for Crimecast. So it looks like Crimecast is up next. Somebody double check my numbers though. Somebody double check my numbers and let me know. All right. So that's that. All right. And the reason why I called this stream, this is what getting on code looks like using language and actions, is because this is exactly what somebody does. Anytime you have any of these people or some POCs, right? Shout out to Black Alpha Work. I think he called them TOCs. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you have some POCs or anytime you got some TOCs, this is the kind of stuff that they're going to do. And they're going to do this in order to create a propaganda loop of ongoing propaganda to falsely show that, quote unquote, we have some type of systemic ability to implement racist tactics, racism, abuse, resource utilization, and systemic oppression to other people, as well as attempt to show that every single issue that we have is a self-induced and inherent issue. Again, which is one of the reasons why people need to start fighting a lot of this stuff head up, if you ask me. Anytime you see a lawsuit like this, people need to put it in the back of their heads. And when the opportunity arises, we need to come back with a lawsuit just like that. Disrupt the entire supply chain. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not subscribed to Crimecast, take a moment. Make sure you guys subscribe to Crimecast. If one of the moderators could put the link to Crimecast in the chat, make sure that you guys do that for me so people can get there. I will see you guys in about an hour on Crimecast. All right? Peace.